And we're back on the SportsMax Zone. Virat Kohli seems to have taken quite a few people in and around Indian cricket by surprise when he announced that he will step down as India's T20 captain at the end of the upcoming World Cup in the UAE and Oman. The 32-year-old announced his decision on Twitter after consulting people close to him, head coach Ravi Shastri and white ball vice captain Rohit Sharma. Kohli cited as the main reason for his decision the immense workload he has been managing over most of the last decade as an all-format player and captain. International cricket commentator Fazeer Mohammed is with us. Lots of questions regarding the announcement itself and more curiously the timing of the announcement. Faz, what are your thoughts, your first thoughts on this?
First thought is that it's not surprising because when you are involved with anything associated with Indian cricket, if you think about what we call the pressure of being involved in West Indies cricket, just multiply that hundreds of times as far as the size of the Indian population, the fact that they're so fanatical about the game, they analyze everything, and the fact that you're a captain, of course, he remains available and you expect him to play as a player in their T20 squad. But it's a significant difference when you are a captain with all of the expectations. You're already the captain of the test team and the one-day team. So he probably feels it's about right with so much cricket that he would have played. And he clearly wants to prioritize test cricket and one-day international cricket. And as a result of that, he's taken leave of that responsibility after the World T20. So it's not entirely surprising. Whether that has anything to do with whatever else might be going on in the background with other personnel in the squad and so on, we can only speculate from this distance, really.
And Faz, why after the World Cup? Is it that he believes that India will end the World Cup on a high and maybe that's a good way to end his captaincy of the T20 team?
Well, just remember, Virat Kohli is an extremely driven individual. He's driven to the point of coming across as sometimes obnoxious, sometimes aggressive. And he wants to win a World T20 title and lead India to a World T20 crown. But he's already stated that he will step down subsequently. So yes, he is an extremely purposeful, driven type of individual, and he has set himself that standard already. He's in fact, if he considers it pressure, put a bit of pressure on himself by saying that he will step away from the captaincy after this World T20. Because if he lifts the crown, if India do prevail, what better way to go than as captain and then make yourself available as a player thereafter. So I think it really exemplifies the type of individual he is. He's very purposeful, he's very focused. And also, I think we should also factor in his own personal life. Because remember, he opted out after the first test of the series in Australia just over a year ago to be at home for the birth of his child. And you know, we have a change in eras, Mariah, where some time back, it was considered very macho, very masculine to be away from home and let your wife have the child or whatever while you're busy or scoring goals or whatever. And now we have a time, not that it's a situation where people have suddenly gone very, very emotional or very emotionally weak and so on, or sympathetic. It's about recognizing there are more important things in life than bat and ball and points and goals and titles. It's about the relationship with your loved ones, your children, your young family, and so on. Because if you miss out on your child growing up, you'll never get it back. And you can get all the titles you want, you'll never get that back. So if you're so preoccupied as a captain, that is an additional challenge. And he obviously wants a release from some of that.
Definitely, Faz. And who would you think is in line to take up this captaincy? Because we know how serious India, they take their cricket.
I think the man next in line is the one who's the vice captain, Rohit Sharma. Again, he seems very comfortable in his role with the Indian team. He's settled in quite easily, never seems to be too perturbed. He's the captain of Mumbai Indians. They've been very successful in the IPL. That IPL is going to resume in a few days' time. So I would think that Rohit Sharma is the obvious person. If they're thinking long-term, someone like a Rishabh Pant might be an option as a vice captain, someone to be groomed into the role of leadership. But clearly there are no, from what I would think, no real issues as far as any consternation as to who will replace Virat Kohli as India's T20 captain.
Yeah, Faz, we know you're a very astute journalist, and I heard you a couple of minutes ago mentioning that there could be some background stories that we are not aware of. Because what I find curious about this story, Faz, is that just 2 days ago, Jay Shah, the secretary of the BCCI, came out with a statement backing Virat Kohli to be captain, continuing to be captain of all formats, and he was very strident in his comments that Virat Kohli is the man, and he is the man to lead in all formats, and that was on Tuesday. And today's Thursday, this story comes out now. I found that a little strange for sure.
Well, there might be more than there's the mortar in the pestle in that regard. And yes, we've seen these things before. I'm sure you may recall when Anil Kumble was the coach of India, when Virat Kohli first became Indian captain, and indeed in 2006 in the Caribbean. You could see the discomfort there. And within a matter of weeks, he was replaced. And we have Ravi Shastri. Essentially, a captain gets what a captain wants. And if there's something going on in the background that he doesn't like, that he can't change, that he doesn't want to come out and say openly, he can make a statement without really saying anything about that by doing something, as you said, diametrically opposite to what some particular official might have said. And yes, we are speculating, we are reading things into it, but it is curious that he would come out with this statement just 2 days after that endorsement of his status as T20 captain. So yeah, it would be no surprise if we were to find out subsequently that he's unhappy about something involving the Indian Cricket Administration.
Yeah, many years ago, Faz, I don't think it was uncommon for captains to be team leaders in all three formats. Ricky Ponting did it, I think Stephen Fleming, and there was a time MS Dhoni was captain of that same Indian team in all three formats as well. But certainly based on the schedule now and the demands of international cricket, it makes sense to split the captaincy burden in these times.
It does, Lance. And again, I know many will draw a reference to the time, for example, when the West Indies were dominant in the 1980s, with the amount of test cricket that was played, with the amount of one-day cricket that was played, with the fact that almost the entire squad would have been busy for the entire English summer from May until late August into early September playing county cricket. But it's a different dynamic when you're playing international cricket all the time and the constant traveling. I know for those of us who look on from a distance, there's almost an envy. You want to be traveling. You want the first class travel. You want to be here, there, and everywhere. But it takes a toll. Look at how many players, coaches, and other individuals are putting aside those obligations because it takes a mental toll, a physical toll, when you've got a young family and all of these additional considerations. And again, being India, where they analyze everything to the nth degree when it comes to their cricket. I mean, just a couple of weeks ago, there was all the talk about Virat Kohli not being the right captain for India and all of that. And again, sometimes as a captain, you probably say, look, I could do without that, at least in this format. And it is becoming the trend where a lot of these players, with all of the franchise commitments, all of the endorsements, all of the appearances, and everything put together, gets to be a bit too much, and they decide at some point we're going to have to let some of these responsibilities go.
Yeah, good to point out there that being in that kind of role in India, Faz, isn't the same as it is in other parts of the world. I think Kane Williamson may be the only captain at the moment that is in charge of all formats for New Zealand, the red ball, 50 over and T20 cricket, but captaining a New Zealand team, I think everyone would accept is completely different from being in charge of India.
Totally different. And again, just to give you an example, Sachin Tendulkar even now can't walk out of his house. Virat Kohli can't leave his home. No Indian player can leave their home. You contrast that within the West Indies environment. Whether it's a Jason Holder, whether it's a Craig Brathwaite, whether it's a DJ Bravo, Kyron Pollard, whether it's a BC Lara walking around the Queen's Park Savannah in Trinidad and Tobago, he will hardly be bothered by anybody because it's a totally different culture. It's almost idol worship in that part of the world. And it really gets to be a bit too much at times.
Yeah, we're going to leave it there, Faz, but I just wanted to find out if you had filled out your form for the valuation of your home. I saw you speak.
Why are you going there?
Faz, he listened to that a lot of times.
Agent provocateur. And no, I have not filled out the form. I have gotten permission from the boss of my household to put aside the 5,000 Trinidad and Tobago dollars because I am not going to be doing the work of public officials.
Faz, I just have to tell you how many times he listened to that at the office. God alone knew how many times at home.
But Lance Whitaker, you are an agent provocateur, I have to say.
All right, Faz. Just wanted to know because you seem very strident and I didn't expect you to back down. So I just wanted to be sure that you stood your ground.
It's actually considered a criminal offense. They've criminalized it. So you might not be able to have me on the show again because I don't think you want convicted criminals on the show.
Okay, but in the Caribbean here, people in prison have been known to be on social media and have telephone conversations. I'm not sure if it happens in Trinidad.
Good point, Lance.
Do I wrap? We go to break fast. Thank you so much. We'll talk again. And remember, on our channel, we have the European Cricket League. So you can check that out.